Tyler, remember how I sent you to the corner in my review of Bionicle Mask of Light because you weren't in touch with your childhood nostalgia? I know it was 4 years ago, but I'm about to watch the sequel and, well, I'm all out of nostalgia for Bionicle. So I feel hypocritical and generally stupid for kicking you out of that review to begin with. So if you're up for it, I want us to review the sequel. Together.
I appreciate the offer, Steven, but now's not really a good time. We only have a week to get ready for the really important thing.
And exactly what is more important than reviewing an obscure Lego movie on the internet? Oh. Excuse me, I gotta go write my best man speech. Bionicle Legends of Metru Nui is a prequel to the first Bionicle film Mask of Light, despite having a number 2 in its title. This story follows the Turaga, village elders, on their original island home of Metru Nui, where they became Toa to protect their land from the growing darkness of Makuta, brother to the great spirit Mata Nui. Mask of Light was Detective Reviews number 12 for me, so this takes me all the way back to 2013. I bet you guys didn't think that I would ever get around to reviewing another Bionicle movie, and I'm also reasonably certain that most of you don't care. Either way, let's take a look. On second thought, this isn't a Spy Kids movie, so I think I might be safe from the copyright robots on this one.
We believed our noble Toa would protect us. But they fell one by one, as an unrelenting shadow sought to enforce endless sleep, so that he could create a time of dark order, then awaken the world as their conqueror.
Already the exposition is an improvement over the first film. Narration defines the world, talks of destiny, etc., and footage introduces us to our main characters.
Artisan builders such as Onawa create wonders that confirm our faith in the great spirit of civilization.
It's efficient, and it gives viewers enough context to develop a basic understanding of how this world works. Toa Likan delivers 6 stones to Matoran from each village, or Metru. As Likan is subdued by dark hunters Nadiki and Kreka, the Matoran Vakama is granted a vision of the future.
Save the heart of Metru Nui. The Great Spirit depends on you.
We also get a glimpse of Makuta.
I must have the Mask of Time.
That sure was a piece of information. The Matoran placed the stones inside a structure, which brings to life an image of Toa Likan.
Prove yourselves worthy, Toa, and fear not. The Great Spirit shall guide you in ways you could not imagine.
Am I a Toa? If we appear to be Toa heroes,
Then we are Toa heroes!
Vakama sees a vision of Metru Nui being destroyed, and declares that the new Toa must find the Great Kanoka discs, which are central in forging the Mask of Time.
According to ancient legend, one great disc is hidden in each Metru.
And finding them would prove to Turaga Duma that we are worthy Toa.
I'm doing this for Likan. No one else.
Whoa, man. If you're gonna get cranky, at least let us get to know you first so we can understand why you have an attitude. Maybe the epic trial of finding these discs will peel back some layers.
And one by one in our homelands, we sought out, found and recovered these great discs.
That's it? No action sequences? No getting acquainted with their new abilities? 15 minutes in and they already have the ingredients to forge the MacGuffin?
This is going to be a really short movie.
Next, Metru Nui's Turaga, Duma, addresses the Matoran.
With the help of the Vaki, order shall be maintained. Trust in me, and soon all your concerns will be laid to rest.
Hello, Puppet Ruler. The new Toa present the great discs to the Turaga.
And pledge ourselves as the new guardians of Metru Nui.
Toa must prove themselves with deeds, not simple gifts.
How dare you? Those discs can only be retrieved by Toa. Do those deeds not prove greatness enough? Oh. Point taken.
Are they imposters responsible for Toa Likan's demise?
Necessary as that was to facilitate their escape, toppling a statue of the land's protector is probably going to be really bad for PR. Vakama, Nokama, and Matau escape in a chute of liquid protodermis. Anua, Wenua, and Nuju are captured. Meanwhile, Duma speaks with Makuta. It was so obvious I can't even get excited about the fact that I called it.
When the great shadow falls, the Vaki will ensure every Matoran's fate.
That's all? Why cut away if that's all? If this scene time-lapsed the other one, fine, but nothing has changed between the cuts, so there's no reason...
But the entire system could explode if I reverse the flow!
This cut would be dumber, but at least it informs what's going on inside the tube, so I'll let it slide. So the flow reverses, they get stuck in a bind, and... Good lord. Movie! Finish an event, then cut to another one. An unknown Turaga appears in the prison, and we're back to the tube again. The movie did fine with its setup, but everything we're seeing after that is too jumbled to get a decent grasp on. Vakama messes around with the great discs, finding that they start melding together. But no time for that when shooting stars are happening.
Each Toa has one. As long as it burns in the night sky, Toa Likan remains alive. We need Toa Likan to stop Turaga Duma and free the other Toa.
If Likan could be saving the day, I'm pretty sure he would be doing that. But Vakama, he passed Toahood on to you. Quit shirking your responsibility. What would Uncle Ben say? Actually, don't answer that. Everyone knows what he would say. We don't need to hear it again. Next, they find something concerning. Storage containers intended for Matoran.
What do you see?
Nothing, sister. Nothing at all.
Are you crosswired?
I doubt we will ever be in touch with our masked powers.
Oh, never doubt what you are capable of. The Great Spirit lives through us all.
If you want to show us something, then stop cutting away and show us! Besides, we're already halfway through the film. We don't have a lot of time to spare. 3 of the Toa are ambushed by the Dark Hunters, but a stampede of Kikanolo wards them off.
I'm out of here! Let's go!
I sure hope these guys weren't intended to be intimidating, because Kreka is not helping that image.
My mask power.
And who knew Kikanalo could think talk? I just thought they were dumb beasts.
Kikanalo still think the same of tall green Matoran.
Matoran? Ask him if the Dark Hunters trespassed with a tall Matoran.
Yes, they take many things to the place of unending whispers.
That must be where they have Toa Likan.
Back in prison, Anua, Wenua, and Nuju try to get in touch with their inner Toa. And miraculously, this scene lasts over a minute before we cut to something else. But when it does, these Toa still haven't gotten out of prison. Do the filmmakers just not know what to do with these 3?
That must be where Toa Likan is. How do we get in there?
I have a plan.
Let me rephrase that. Do the filmmakers just not know what to do with any of these characters? I remember once saying that Attack of the Clones was a movie that jumped back and forth between events too much. But looking back, I feel like I have to forgive Attack of the Clones a little bit because at least in that movie, something of value was accomplished in each scene before it cut to something else.
That was a complete waste of time!
We're about 40 minutes in, and I think I can safely say the same of this movie. And I think the movie agrees.
Sit down. Sit down now.
Stop!
Whoa! I believe it is time to depart.
Finally, we're making some progress. The other three try to lead away the Vaki so that they can enter the temple. Oh, and by the way, Matau can shapeshift now.
Where'd the Toa go?
You must have let him slip past. Circle the other way back.
But instead of keeping that ace close to his chest, he throws it on the table where everyone can see it.
Shape-shifting. Some mass powers are worth the wait.
Meanwhile, back with the villains, we see that Turaga Duma is...
Duma's mask has been useful.
As creepy as it usually is for someone to be possessed, that look is not doing Makuta any favors.
The future will be mine, even without the Mask of Time.
45 minutes in and we still have no clue why the Mask of Time is so important. The Toa reunite in the tunnels, and the mystery Turaga is finally identified.
Toa Likan?
No, Vakama. You are Toa. I am Turaga Likan.
This is pretty good foreshadowing, especially since the Toa we see now are fated to become the Turaga we see in the first movie. Finally, I've hardly complimented anything since the beginning of the movie. Vakama continues a trend that he's carried on throughout the entire movie, whining about his insecurities.
I'm a cross-wired freak, chasing my dreams, wasting everyone's time. I'll never be a real Toa.
You're just a late bloomer, Vakama, that's all. So what if you're not tapping into the mask powers? At least you can see into the freaking future! Inside one of the pods, they find...
Turaga Duma?
The true Turaga Duma. An imposter is posing as a mask we all trust.
Bring me the Mask of
Time.
Oh, so Duma wasn't actually... Okay, that was pretty well played, movie. Although I have to say, if Makuta was possessing Duma's actual body rather than just his mask, I think this scene would have been a bit more intimidating. Makuta sets the most important part of his evil plan in motion.
Rejoice! For today will be a momentous climax to your history.
Climax?
As if.
If this were a video game, the Toa would barely be past the tutorial. Or in the case of Kingdom Hearts 2, they'd still have an hour to go. Call it a climax if you want, but it does not feel like one. The Matoran are placed in these pods, from which Makuta draws power.
Even the Great Spirit will soon sleep.
Then the Dark Hunters are defeated. By Makuta, oddly enough.
Join me. Be part of my power.
That was easy.
Then, remembering that he has the resources for it, Vakama confronts Makuta with the Mask of Time. So after building up this mask for an entire movie, what exactly does it do? Nothing I can discern from the visuals, and apparently nothing that's important to the story. Fantastic.
That was meant for me.
No. This is my lifetime's journey. I am proud to have called you brother to Toa Vakama.
Fist bumping seems to be a common gesture in this universe for showing solidarity. It's a small and not particularly unique detail, but I kinda like it. As it turns out, Likan's sacrifice is the kick that Vakama needed in order to unlock his mask power. Stealth. After a couple minutes of basically playing around with Makuta, the Toa go Captain Planet on him, freezing him in a block of protodermis, an energized substance in the Bionicle universe that, from my understanding, takes many forms and does pretty much whatever the plot needs it to. Next, the Toa see to the drained Matoran.
Toa Likan sacrificed his power for us. Now, we shall do the same for them.
This movie showcases some of the shortest careers in heroism that I've ever seen. Well, except for maybe one. He could have done so many great things. With Makuta handled, at least for this story, everyone ventures to a new island they name Mata Nui, after the Great Spirit. We also get minor cameos from characters of the previous movie. Jala, who receives Likan's old mask, and Takua, who becomes the Toa of Light. And then, another wisdom-filled finale.
United in duty. Bound in destiny. This is the way of the Bionicle.
So that was Bionicle 2, Legends of Metru Nui. Any nostalgia I had left for Bionicle is, quite frankly, useless in this scenario. This was just a very weak movie. The setup was fine, but execution on the rest of the story is very questionable. The movie jumps back and forth between events so quickly, rarely allowing a complete impression of what's shown. Supposedly important parts of the story fly by, treated as checks on a list too long for the runtime. We see conflict happen, but it lacks a sense of escalation. The animation is observably worse than the first film, with inconsistent frame rates and jittery movement during the slow motion sequences. Lastly, the characters have bare-bone personalities based on the culture of their Metru. Teacher, thinker, etc. Whatever development they experience, whatever they accomplish, the sensation is nothing more than, yep, that happened. The movie's biggest problems are technical, and the basic characters and story don't give me enough to be that upset about. But it also leaves me emotionally unaffected, which arguably makes it a bigger waste of time than the movies that do make me angry. Doubly so on account of the fact that I had to watch this movie multiple times just to see if I could pull any plot holes from it. That's how minimal an experience it was.
The six Toa have a variety of special powers, so why are Vakama's visions taken for granted? This could just be based on what the Toa are aware of at the time. Mask powers have a visual cue when they're activated. The Toa know the visions can't come from that, so they don't treat them as seriously. And later, when Vakama has a vision about the Matoran pods, he opens one up and doesn't find a Matoran inside, thus making it seem like he was getting paranoid over nothing, which takes away even more credibility from his visions. What is the exact nature of Makuta's charade involving Turaga Duma? Early on, we see Duma and Makuta talking to each other, as if they are two separate entities. A little while later, we see Makuta's head transposed onto what appears to be Turaga Duma's body, leading us to believe at that point that the Turaga's been possessed. Finally, the Toa find the body of the true Turaga Duma, and Likan states that an imposter, Makuta, is using his mask. The problem here is that not all three scenarios can be true. If we are to assume that the real Turaga Duma is an honorable person and was holed up in that pod the entire time and thus had nothing to do with any evil happenings in this movie, then the scene where he appears to be talking to Makuta where they're two separate entities has no logical way of even being able to exist. What exactly does the Mask of Time do that makes Makuta want it so badly? The easiest assumption is the ability to control time, but in Legends of Metru Nui, there are no clues other than visual about what the mask does. Also, assuming it does control time, I feel like Vakama could have used that during his fight with Makuta to just freeze Makuta in place.
Steven.
Ah! Tyler, what are you doing here?
We're doing the Bionicle 2 review.
Oh.
You did it without me, didn't you?
I apologize. Again.
Well, how was it?
Let's see. Terrible pacing, paper-thin characters, no tension. Really boring, honestly.
You're not just saying that to diminish the fact that you left me out again, are you?
I mean it, Tyler. This movie bored the hell out of me so much, I'm not even sure I want to review the other Bionicle movies.
Steven, are you insane? Once you start a series, you have to finish it. You can't quit now. What will happen to the world? Think of your fans!
I take it you believe me.
Dude, I didn't even know that they made a Bionicle sequel until you mentioned it.
Actually, they made 3.
3? You know, if 2 bored you as much as you say it did, maybe you should go back to reviewing a series that's worth your time.
Do you just carry that around with you?
When the time calls for it.